Good evening, everybody. I welcome you all today for this meeting on the last of the series under the heading of Venganoor Temples in Tamil Nadu. Today's lecture, we will be seeing some wonderful sculptures, the marvelous creations of the great Venganoor architecture, temple architecture, seen in temples of Tamil Nadu. And finally, we end up the talk with a very, very small but a very beautiful temple located at Venganoor, a remote village. Hardly anybody visits this wonderful temple. So with this small note, we start off with the lectures for today. The great Vijayanagar Empire, established in the 15th century, was to check the Islamic invasion down south of India. The basic aim for them was to check the Islamic invasion and stop all the plundering of the temples' wealth in south of India. Soon the four southern states came under their control, and the contribution of the Vijayanagar king is so great that all the temples that were destroyed during the Islamic invasions were rebuilt, and not only rebuilt, and were also expanded into huge complexes. They were all carried out, all these expansions work were carried out directly by the Vijayanagar kings in some parts of this country, and also by the Nayaks under whom the Vijayanagar, they were the governors of the Vijayanagar, governing different parts of Tamil country. Tamil Nadu, there were already about 45,000-50,000 temples which were in existence. And the Vijayanagar kings did not have any scope for building new temples, barring a very few temples that you see in Devikapuram and Tiruvaranguram and all that. A few temples which were totally built by Vijayanagar. The rest of the temples were all expanded by them by adding the Rajgopurams, the Kalyana Mandapams, and many other festival halls, everything inside the temple, and making it as a huge, huge complex. These structures were all the masterpieces of Vijayanagar architecture, which is known for its monolithic sculptures of pillars, sculptures of pillars. Every pillar was a beautiful monolithic sculpture. Huge pillars as tall as 12 to 13 feet height and as wide as 8-9 feet. One huge block of rock was made as a pillar come a sculpture to that. This is what you see in the picture here, the Yali riders. This was the trademark of the Vijayanagar kings, showing Yali riders and horse riders. The finest of the Rajagopurams that you see in the Tamil country, like that of the Tiruvannamalai, Kanchipuram Ekambareshwara Temple, Srirangam Vellagopuram, Chidambaram, the South Gopuram, the famous Thiruvilliputtur, the Madurai, Meenakshi Temple, and like this, there's an endless of beautiful Rajagopurams that they had created during the tenure of the Tamil country. They had mastered the art of intricate sculptural presentations, as seen in the temples of Madurai, Srirangam, Srivilliputtur, and many other places. Today, we'll see some of the masterpiece creations of sculptures that they have done in the temple of Kashi Vishwanatha Swami at Tenkashi, Nellayappa temple at Tirunelveli, and Thadikombu, a beautiful temple that was built totally by the Vijayanagar kings. In a very place, Thadikombu is very close to Dindukkal. Kudumiya and Malay, a very old temple, starting from the Pallava times, this temple had existed. They had beautifully arranged a beautiful hall there. the front entrance hall of the temple. Everything was filled with sculptures of the highest and the most beautiful quality. Now, what you see here is the wonderful Rati Devi of the Kudumiyan Malai. Look at Rati. She is a goddess of love, along with her husband Manmatha. Here, she is shown as a beautiful lady seated on the swan. Her vehicle is swan, and she's seated there holding a bow of sugarcane and arrow of flowers. With that arrow of flowers, they attack the people to fall in love. It's what the myths say. So they are seen here beautifully. Rati is so beautiful, gracious. Look at the hairstyles that she's got. Look at the figure. She's not shown something extraordinary. She's just presented as the women of the soil. Just as the women of the soil, she's been presented in a very beautiful manner. She's seated on the swan. You can see her beauty. Look at her. Look at the beautiful jewelry that she's having on her head. The hair tied as a bun. Look at the earrings that she's got. The number of bangles and the kankan that she's wearing. The rings on her fingers. Everything is so intricate. In spite of her nose being chopped, look at that. She's a most beautiful lady that you could see. What a beautiful representation of Rati. This is again the Rati. Look at her. Wonderfully, she is being represented so majestically. Look at the dresses. The pleats of her dresses are so beautifully carried throughout her body. And look at the Meghalabharanam that she's wearing, the waist belts, so intricately designed. And look at her smile on the face, the pride on her face, that she is the goddess of love. Look at that. That's a beautiful Rati of the Kudumiyan Malai. You see an umbrella right on top of her. This is a monolithic sculpture that you see in the temple of Kudumiyan Malai. Her consort Manmatha, the majestic masculine Manmatha is seen here seated on a parrot. Look at that Manmatha. He's so majestic, tall, handsome, well-built, robust. Look at the crown that he's got. So intricately designed crown. And he's there on this peacock holding the arrow of sugarcane and flowers of arrow. Look at that. Look at his face. So beautiful, majestic, with a big mustache. Everything is seen there. Broad open chest. And look at the way he's seated there. Typically South Indian. So this is the beauty of the architecture. Depicting people as the real human beings. Look at that. Another face of Manmatha. Look at that. So beautiful. Now we come across another set of two beautiful ladies. They are Mohinis. Mahavishnu took the avatar of Mohini and he's seen here as Mohini. His dress is just slipping away and she's seen there. Behind her, all the rishis of Tarakavanam followed her. So this is the Mohini. Look at her. She's so majestic, so beautiful, so graceful. You can see the rishis behind her, the Mohini. Look at her face and look at the structure of the body. So beautiful. The way in which she's handling a flowing dress on her is so beautifully shown in the sculpture. Every pleat of the cloth is shown very beautifully in the sculpture. Now we come to the next temple, Tadikombu, Friends, this I have to share that these photographs were taken by me about 25 years back. So these are all photographs which I've made into slide, recopied and taken it. The resolutions may not be so very good, but still it's worth seeing those beautiful sculptures of Tadikombo. Here Mahavishnu is seated on his Ananta. This is the Vaikuntanatha Perumal. What a beautiful sculpture. Again, Mahavishnu riding on Garuda. This is Veerabhadra. I don't know, for some reasons known to them, all these Nayaks, though they were all Vaishnavites principally, they also had so much of regards for the Saivism. And Veerabhadra was one important sculpture they incorporated in every temple, be it a Vaishnava temple or Shaiva temple. Veerabhadra sculpture was always seen in the temples that were created by the Nayaks. This is Venugopala. Look at that wonderful Trivikrama. Again, Narsimha catching Hiranyakashipu by his neck and bringing him. And the next thing, you can see him how he's slaying him, tearing his stomach and bringing out his intestines out. Narsimha. Look at the face of the Narsimha. The Ugra aspect of Narsimha is seen very clearly in the face of Narsimha. This is again a Veerabhadra. People have splashed butter on top of it. Again, Narsimha. Rama seated on the back of Hanuman to fight Ravana. This is one of the scenes from the Ramayana, where Hanuman holds up Rama on his shoulders and takes him for the fight to fight against Ravana and Kumbhakarna. So this is that particular thing which has been depicted. Rama is seated on the back of Hanuman. This is again Kali. Urdhva Tandav Murti. Garuda Vahana. Vishnu seated on Garuda Vahana. The multi-armed Vishnu is seated wonderfully on the Garuda Vahana here. You can see the Garuda. Again, the Vaikuntha Vishnu. This is the most marvelous sculpture that you can see in Tadikombo. This is the 16th-armed Sudarshana Alva, Mahasudarshana of Mahavishnu is seen here in the sculptural form. A beautiful, there's a separate temple dedicated for Sudarshana there in this Tadikombo. And that temple, the Sudarshana was so powerful that they have really, it was troublesome for somebody. So they broke that statue of Sudarshana there. And now a new statue of Sudarshana has been installed there. One side is this Chakra Talwar seen with multiple arms. And the rear side, you can see Narasimha seated in the yogic pose. Now we come to the Tenkasi temple. Again, these photographs are very, very, I would say sorry for the photograph because these were all taken long back. Today, they don't allow you to photograph there. This is one of the beautiful apsaras in the Tenkasi temple. Look at the way she stands there majestically holding the chauri in her hand. Look at that. And photographing Tenkasi temple is also very difficult because it's open on all the four sides and the light passes through that. You can hardly get the clear image of this. This is again the apsara there. This is again one more beautiful apsara, applying tilak on her forehead, looking at the mirror. Another angle of that. And this is the most beautiful Urdhva Tandav Murti. Look at this Urdhva Tandav Murti with 16 arms. so beautifully depicted as one single piece attached to the pillar. Below that, you can see Ravana and the Apaspara Purusha down below the foot of the Uddhavtanda Murti. And what a wonderful representation with multiple arms, so beautifully etched. The gap between the arms is so beautifully seen here. And this is one of the masterpiece sculptures that you can see. And I would rate this as one of the best of the sculptures of the Nayak period in the Tenkasi temple. Again, this is again the Urdhva Thandamurti, but with just 10 arms. Here is shown as Sadashiva Rupam. Here you find the Brahma and the Vishnu on the other side, and he's dancing again on the Apaspara Purusha. These two sculptures of Urdhva Thandamurti are the best of the lot that has been created by the Nayak period. Again, the Veerabhadra. The 10-armed Veerabhadra holding the Trishula. What a wonderful depiction. Look at the drapery of his dress and the multiple weapons that he's holding in his arms. It's amazing to see this beautiful sculpture of Veerabhadra. Now we come to the temple of Nellayappa in Tirunelveli. This wonderful sculpture that you see here is the character from Mahabharata, Karna. Karna is shown here. Now you can ask how you can say that it's Karna, because Karna was the person who had the Nagastram in his hand. So to depict that it's Karna, you can see one hand is holding the Nagastram and his bow is there. This is the beautiful sculpture depiction of Karna, the character from Mahabharata, in the temple of Nellayappa at Tirunelveli. Again, a different angle of the same sculpture. Again, this is one hunter of the Nayak creations. What a beautiful way they have depicted him with a horn. Blowing horn is there. His hair is tied up as a bun. He's holding a beautiful sword, a dagger, rather I would say, a big dagger. And the way it's represented is something wonderful, phenomenal sculpture. And this Bhima, seen in the thing, a dancing pose with lifted head. Bhima. Now we come with these sculptures. I just didn't elaborate on these sculptures when we saw the other temples, because we did not go into these temples. So I thought I'll just highlight these sculptures. And now we come to the main part of this presentation, that's called the Virdhagirishwara Swami Temple at Venganoor. None of you would have heard of this temple, and none of you would have known this place also, Venganoor, which is a God-forsaken place, situated in a remote village, a very, very remote dusty village in Perambalur district. Venganoor is a small, sleepy, dusty village located in the Perambalur district of Tamil Nadu. The temple must have been built around 17th century. It is dedicated to Virdhagirishwara and Vrindavan. Incidentally, Virdhagirishwara is the name of the Swami at the Vrindachalam. In Tamil, it is called Tirumudukundram. And that's the beautiful temple of the Chola era, which is there in Vrindachalam. And this place is also very close to Vrindachalam. It's about 60-70 kilometers from this place is Vrindachalam. So this god is also named as Virdhagirishwara and Vrindambika. The temple is built by one subordinate under the Nayaks of Tanjavur. I don't know whether he was really a subordinate or a rich merchant of this place, but this was built during the time of the Nayaks, and this area was under the Nayaks of Tanjavur at one point of time in 17th century. And what you see here is the main entrance to this temple, Rajgopuram, which is supposed to be under renovation for some time now. I don't know whether renovation has happened or not, but still, this is a beautiful Rajgopuram, which is small Rajgopuram. Must be a 5-tiered Rajgopuram, the entrance of this beautiful temple, which is fully compounded. As you enter the temple through the Rajgopuram, this has 3 prakaras. And as you enter, you see the first thing you see is the Nandi Mantapam, which is located between the main entrance of the Rajgopuram and the second Gopuram. So there's a beautiful Nandi Mantapam there. And by the right of the Nandi Mantapam, you can see one beautiful Kalyana Mantapam, which we will see it later about that. So this is the main entrance to the temple, which will take you to the Vrindagireeshwara Swami temple at Venganoor. Just like any other ordinary temple, it looks very simple, very beautiful. The legend of this particular Vrindagireeshwara temple is Vrindachalaleshwara temple or Vrindagireeshwara temple. This was built by one Reddiyar about 460 years ago. This Reddiyar was a great Saiva devotee, and he used to visit Vrindachalam every Pradosham day and worship Vrindagireeshwara there. So one day, one such particular Pradosham day, he could not go to Vrindachalam as there was flash flood in the rivers that were flowing there close by. And that night he halted in this Venganoor. When he halted there in the Venganoor, he had a dream. In that dream, the Shivalingam and an Ambal statue was shown buried at a particular spot in that village. And there was a voice that he heard asking him to build a temple, install these idols and worship there. So the next day, very next day, he found the idols buried there in the same spot where he had dreamt. So he built the temple for his Ishta Devata, Vrindagireeshwara. He named this Ishwara as Vrindagireeshwara and the Devi as Vridamba and built this beautiful temple. So when he decided to build this beautiful temple, he designed a temple with the help of Stapati. This Stapati was the one who came from Vijayanagar. At that particular point of time, Vijayanagar was in turmoil. There was a lot of, the battle of Talikota was on, and a lot of things, confusions were there. For the power struggle was there in Vijayanagar. Everything was in chaotic condition. So a lot of people, the Stapatis who were there, engaged by the Vijayanagar kings to build temples in and around Hampi and other places, they all started migrating from there and coming down to south. So one such Stapati group had come down from the Vijayanagar, and this Reddiyar approached him and he made him the chief Stapati of this temple. So because of the drought and the conditions of war conditions, they had come here. And this work of building this temple was started by this Reddiyar, which was later completed by his son. So this Vrindagireeshwara temple was an amazing temple built by the Stapatis of the Vijayanagar. The temple turned out to be an unbelievable architectural marvel, sculptural marvel of that period of time. Now, this is the shrine which you see here. Is the shrine of Durgadamba or Vridamba here, the typical hall with the pillars. Now, after a recent renovation, they have opened up the area and covered it open to sky. The first time when I went to this temple about 25 years, this was a pitch dark temple. It was so dark. There's plenty of bats in this temple, and everywhere you had the bat dropping, and it was stinking like mad once upon a time. The second time when I went about 6-7 years back, it was far better. They had renovated it and really done some good work in this particular temple. The finishing of the two sanctums of this temple of Vrindagireeshwara and Vridambika are two sanctums of this temple are finished with highly polished granite with intricate and minute carved images. And the designs that have been incorporated in this, it has got no comparison to any of the sculptures created so far by the Nayak kings. Now, what you see here is the the portion of the sanctum of the Vrindagireeshwara temple. Now, what you see here is the beautiful sanctum of the temple. The sanctum is circular. It is not a Gajaprashta Vimanam, where it's a half round and then it goes. But this is almost a full circle. So this is called as Omkara Vimanam. The niches and the outer walls are decorations with animals, birds, ganas. Everything is so intricate with minute gaps in between them, and that has been layered in different levels. It is a fascinating work of art that has been carried out in this temple. The sanctum of Vrindagarishwara is circular and called as Omkara Vimanam. As in Vrindachalam, there are two shrines for the Devi. One is Vridamba, other one is Balamba. The Balamba shrine is very close to the Vrindagarishwara temple shrine, and the sanctum of Vridamba is by the side. The Shiva Prakasha Swamigal has composed Thiruvengai Kalambam, Thiruvengai Ula, Thiruvengai Mahatmyam, and Thiruvengai Kovai, and so on. So this temple was also famous during that time of thing when it was built. It was patronized well. There was a lot of literature about this temple is available. Bhakti literature about this temple is also available. Now look at this sanctum. This circular sanctum, I told you, this is the south face of the circular sanctum, where you have the Dakshinamurti shrine here. You can see the Dakshinamurti here. And look at that Dakshinamurti shrine, which is placed here. Inside a small temple-like structure, that is the koshta. The koshta itself is being designed like that of a temple with two pilasters on the either side. Very beautiful pilasters, and that is supported by two Kumbha Pancharas. The Kumbha Pancharas on either side, and the next koshta starts. Like that, there are 6 koshtas in this beautiful temple, barring Dakshinamurti, which was a recent introduction there inside this koshta. Other koshtas are all empty. Look at that circular thing from the outer mandapam. All this is built with polished granite. Polishing granite, we did not have machines or anything of what the present day has, but it was a very, very tough job to do in those days, but they have done it beautifully. Look at the decorations of the wall. Look at the beautiful Kumbha Pancharas, the pilasters, the beautiful koshtas. How wonderfully and how intricately they have been decorated. What a beautiful, we'll see the close-ups to enjoy it more. Look at that. The circular Vimana, you can see on the top portion also, very beautiful design work has been carried out. Right on the top also you have it. And down below also be that where normally the ganas are seen, the Bhutavari is seen, there also floral decorations have been done. It is slightly deviating from the traditional architecture, but still maintaining a tradition with the beautiful incorporation of the imagination of the Sthapatis. They have created something phenomenally beautiful. Look at that. Look at the wonderful design. Look at the wonderful designs there. You can see the koshtas, so beautiful koshta. The temple-like finish of the koshtas, the pillars of the koshtas, the 2 pilasters on either side of the koshtas. So beautifully done. The circular base is seen very clearly here. Look at that. Normally, in all the temples of the old school, you'll find the Chola temples, you'll find the Bhutavari. But here, Bhutavari, instead of Bhutavari, they have made beautiful designs. Lotus flower, drooping lotus flower designs. Look at the way they are finished. Look at the medallion, the pilaster medallion, so beautifully done, very intricately, as if the lotus is bloom in total. And look at that, pilasters. What a beautiful work of this lotus medallion there. Look at that. Wonderful koshta with so much of intricate design. It's just projecting out. Everything is polished. The minute places are also beautifully polished, highly polished granites. Even after 450 years, the polish remains the same. It was like a mirror polish once upon a time, but then today the polish has come down, but still it's absolutely amazing. Look at that Kumbha Panchara design. Look at the way the Kumbha Panchara is created with minute design pillars, curved pillars holding out something like a temple-like structure on top with the medallion of lotus and the stem of the Kumbha. So beautifully done. Look at that intricate work of the lotus medallion, the temple finish on the top, and down below the Kumbha. Look at that Kumbha. So beautiful, very intricately done with floral designs. And now you find these two Makara yalis coming out of the Kumbha with floral designs coming out from the mouth of the Makara. Find two beautiful parrots, few birds here. This is again a parrot here, another parrot, four parrots here. Unfortunately, all the heads of the parrots are chopped. Such a beautiful creation. Why should the heads be chopped? You just see this. All the heads of the parrots, so beautifully created parrots with the feathers, the detail of feathers, everything is seen here wonderfully, but the heads are all chopped. I believe there is a story that goes around in this temple. This artist who created with this so much of parrots, monkeys, lizards, and so many other creatures in this temple, they were very lifelike things in this temple. I believe in the early morning, before the sunrise, as the dawn comes up, all these parrots used to scream, and that was disturbing the Shiva inside, who was sleeping, I believe. Somebody had a dream or a vision like this. So he said the parrots have to be stopped. You have to stop the screaming of the parrots. And they chopped all the heads of the parrots. I don't know how far it is true or anything, but the truth is that none of the parrots have their head in place. Look at the parrot. So beautiful, multi-layered feathers. Look at that. Here, this parrot has survived its head. Look at that. Such a beautiful one. Hundreds of such parrots. You can see it everywhere in the basement and other places, in the Kumbha Panjaras and other places, all over this temple. Amazingly, beautifully designed temple. And another design that you could see very, very different, which is totally away from the traditional way of representing the Kumbha Panjaras, is that the Makara opening up the floral designs. And here you find the Bhuta Ganas on top of the Makara. This is a very, very rare presentations. Now you see this Bhuta Gana blowing his conch there. Two of the Bhuta Ganas are Malyuddha thing fighting here on top of the Kumbha Panchara. Again, a beautiful Bhuta Gana seated on top of the Makara playing the drum. All these are noise depicting the sound. Probably the sound was something connected with this particular temple. There's something to do with the sound and this temple. Look at this. Again, the Bhuta Gana blowing his conch there. Two rishis seated in meditation. When there's so much of sound, how could there be a rishi? That too, it's amazing. And see here, a deer, another parrot this side. Look at the Kumbha Panchara. Look at that. Kumbha Panchara, so beautiful. So the ribs of the Kumbha Panchara is so very well, there's layered. There's a single piece of stone with which they have created, but you can find the gap in between. So beautifully designed. Look at that. Again, few more Bhutaganas in some of the Kumbha Panchara representations. Look at this. A man fighting a tiger. Down below, you can find another person being there. All these are all very, very small. Now, a small must be about 12 to 14 inches in height. That's all. All in polished granite. And look at this beautiful Kumbha Panchara, I said. The ribs of the Kumbha at different levels. The gap is shown very beautifully. The stone is carved in such a way. A single piece of block of stone is carved in such a way that the ribs are shown very beautifully. And the ribs are decorated with floral motifs. And that Kumbha is opening up with floral motifs from either side. And there you find the beautiful parrots. The beautiful parrots on either side and things like that. What an imagination. What a thoughtful process with which he has given. And right here in this Kumbha Panchara, the neck portion of this Kumbha, you find something like this. All these pillars, you will find the gap in between that. You can insert your finger and see that this gap. That's total hollow in this side and behind the wall. So it's such a beautiful masterpiece creation. Again, the Bodhaganas dancing and playing Veena. And look at the Kumbhas. What beautiful representation of these Kumbhas. Every Kumbha is so beautiful. Plus, it's a great workmanship. And similarly, look at the designs of the pilasters. What beautiful floral design, lotus medallion that you could see on that. And look at that beautiful floral design here in the neck portion. Such beautiful depiction of this. Normally, in many of the temples, you'll see that plain. All these things will be there in the same portions, same sizes and things like that. But they will be devoid of any decorations in this. But here, it is done so wonderfully with floral motifs or floral designs, and that too in highly polished state. Look at this, one of the pillars outside the Mantapa. The two Hamsa Pakshis fighting in one of the pillars. What a beautiful representation. Again, the outermost pillars are also beautifully designed in very, very different form. Now we come to the Vruddhambika temple. You saw Shiva's temple was circular in shape. Vruddhambika's temple sanctum is square in shape. Again, here also, the same pattern of designing, everything is continued so well. Totally polished granite, and you can see the beautiful representation of the pilasters, the koshtas on the four sides, the same type of Kumbha Pancharas, everything being repeated here in this temple of Vruddhambika. This is the Vruddhambika shrine which is inside, and the front mandapam, very similar like what you see in all the Nayak temples. There's a very beautiful mandapa, right? Mahamandapam in front of the Vruddhambika temple. Look at that. The koshta, the pilaster, the design. There you saw it circular, but here it follows the contour of this particular squared sanctum. Very beautifully, it is following the contour. Look at the Kumbha Panchara, very similar with all the parrot designs. And look at the base, also so beautifully designed. Again, another view of that. Look at the parrots there. Amazing beauty of these parrots. And the Kumbha Panchara. This Kumbha Panchara is slightly different from there, but still with small variations they are there, almost very similar. Right? The pilasters, the pillars, everything is very, very similar, repeated in the same form. but this is done in a square shape. Look at that. This is the rear side Kumbhapanchara of the Devi shrine. The base, normally it is designed with the shape and given. Here, they have done this with what you call Arasa Ela. They call it Arasa Ela Madipu. It looks like leaf. The banyan tree leaf has been arranged one in rows like this. So beautifully done. The entire basement of this temple is decorated like this. Nowhere in this country you can see such a beautiful decoration on the basement level like this. And that too with all the lotus medallion, the lotus, drooping lotus design there. Look at that entire basement of the temple is so beautifully designed with the kudus right intercepting there and different moldings of the Adrishtanam with the lotus base right below. All these things are in polished granite and very beautifully etched out. Amazing piece of art, and the dedication of the artist who has done it is just mind-boggling. Right above, you have the Buddhavari. The Buddhas are presented here so beautifully. Look at this Buddha. So expressive it is. Its eyes bulging out, the mouth so wide open. He's screaming there. He's screaming there. As I said, this has got something to do with the noise or sound. So here you see the Buddha screaming there. Again, a lion here inside this kudu. Look at that, beautiful kudus. Everywhere it has been designed with Buddha and a lion. Buddha and a lion. It goes like that. And look at that design on the top, the drooping lotus buds on the top, and the corbel design, so beautiful. Look at that. Again, the Buddha. Look at the way that Buddha is there, so expressive. The lion is so expressive. Look at that drooping lotus buds. And this is the Vrindagireeshwara Swami shrine. You see here, typical with the right style mandapa, right in the front, and the linga inside the sanctum there. There is Vrindagireeshwara, the two Dwarapalakas that you see here. Around the sanctum, there's a beautiful mandapa which goes around all over the covering both the Shiva and the Devi shrine together. And those pillars are also beautifully decorated as what we saw, but plain, not on polished granite. Another interesting, amazing feature in this temple is the Nataraja Sannidhi. The Nataraja Sannidhi normally carries a bronze image of Nataraja, which is also used as a processional image of this temple. But here, they have created a Nataraja out of granite. They have carved it out of stone. What is so beauty of this? Just as you see in the bronze image, the stone image has also been created. In most of the places, you will find so many other supports are given to this Nataraja image when made in stone. But here, it is just created like a bronze image. The entire weight is suspended with only one leg here, the other leg lifted up and coming out, and the two legs are two extended hands are supporting the Prabhamandala. What a beautiful creation. Amazing creation of Nataraja. In 17th century, they had the talent to do it. Normally we say the Pallavas did the best of the sculptures, Cholas excelled them in some points, but some school of thought always says Pallavas were great, so Cholas were slightly exaggerated, Nayakas did something out of proportions and things like that. But as you come down to 18th, 17th, 18th century, the quality of sculpturing and depiction of images or sculptures in the temple started deteriorating? I would say no. Seeing this one Venganoor temple, I can vouch that the quality remained. Probably urgency made them to do hush-hush work, but then the quality of the stapati was remaining throughout, is what I could assume. And this wonderful temple, right on the back wall of the around the sanctum, the first prakara, you have wonderful paintings of the 17th century. Most of them are intact, but very as usual in any other temple that you see any other painting, our people, first thing they would like to do is that scribble their name, their lover's name, everything on that. That is what is the pathetic thing that's been happening, that it can be seen in this temple also. Nataraja, Kalmari Arya Nataraja, as you see in Madurai. The Pandyan is here, a beautiful painting of 17th century. This is a beautiful Ardhanarishwara representation with Patanjali and Vyagrapata Muni. Look at that, a beautiful Ganesha, a beautiful landscape painting. Bhikshadana Murti. This is Brahmaloka. They represent Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, we call that Brahma is there. Brahma is seen here, seated here, with his consort Saraswati. All the devas on either side. You can see that Surya, Chandra, everybody is there in the Brahmaloka. What a beautiful representation of the 17th century of Brahmaloka. This is Vaikuntha. Mahavishnu is seated here on the Adisesha here. Sridevi, his main consort, Lakshmi, is by the side. You have the two other consorts, Bhumi Devi and Neela Devi on either side, with all the Adisesha, everybody here around is Mahavishnu, and the beautiful representation of Vaikuntha. And you can also read the name of Arul, some stupid fellow who has written his name there. This is the Kailasha, the representation of Kailasha. Shiva is seated with Parvati. Ganesha here on this side. You have Subramanya and Chandesha. The Panchamurtis are seen here. Very beautiful. This is Kailasha depiction with all the rishis doing the tapas here. Depiction of Kailasa. Again, the Rajas, the kings, the Surya, Chandras, and all the devatas coming and praying to Shiva here. All the Surya, Chandras, and devatas on one side, praying to Shiva. Look at that. Parvati is here. Subramanya with his two consorts, Valli and Devasena. And here is Chandesha Murti. This side you have Maharajas from Boloka doing the obeisance to the Shiva there. All the rishis in different parts of Kailasha standing there and doing tapas to see the darshan of Shiva there. You have all the names being written here also. Subramanya, Valli, Devasena, Chandesha, Rudreshan, and all that. All these Rudras are there. Shiva and Parvati. A beautiful representation. The paintings are amazing. Now we come out of the temple, go to the Kalyana Mandapam we saw in the front. This Kalyana Mandapam was a very, very unique structure which was erected only in 1910. But the fine architecture of the pillars is amazing. The pillars are beautifully designed, no compromise made. It's beautifully slender pillars with a straight pillar in the center. What a beautiful representation. One straight pillar there, supported by four slender pillars, all carved out of a single piece of rock. And of course, there's 2-3 different portions of that is there fixed together. And the entire roof is painted in this 19th century, beginning of this 20th century. So when you see that, the paintings, it's amazing to see the colors that they've used. I wouldn't know whether it was natural colors, but still, the colors are very bright even as of today. After 100 and odd years, it's still bright. You find the Ras Leela, all the gopis going around there and doing that kummi. See, there is this is the game. This is a celebration that was done in those days in Tamil country, where all these people used to go around, dance, clapping their hands, and there was a beautiful song, Anjaga Manjaga. There's a song also for that. How to clap your hands and dance this. There's a beautiful representation of that, the kummi of our tradition of this Tamil country. Again, Krishna, Gopi Vastravaharanam, very beautifully seen with all the gopis praying to give back their vastrams from Krishna. And this is the Rasi Mandalam. All the 12 Rasis are represented here in the pictorial form. Again, a beautiful design. Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, is shown here, seated inside the lotus thing. What a beautiful representation of Saraswati on the roof. This is how the roofs are all painted. This is done about 120 years back. A little damage has happened to it, but still, since this temple doesn't attract much crowd and these paintings are right on the top, nobody could disturb it by scribbling their names. That has saved it. Look at that. The Navagraha Mandalam, Surya, all the names are given. Ketu, Ragu, Shani, Guru, Shukra, all these things, Chandra, all these Navagraha Devatas are represented in the Navagraha Mandalam. This is also painted on the roof. Vijayanagar Empire, the kings and their governors known as the Nayaks, in different regions of South India, had immensely contributed to the great religion and its temple. The most prominent rule of the great Sri Krishnadevaraya saw the maximum developmental activities in our temples. Today, we are all able to see so many ancient temples in our land of South India intact. It is only because of them. I repeat and say very sternly that it's only because of them and their great contribution in expanding and endowing these great temples. In the series of lectures that we had seen for the past 2 months, we have seen great contribution of these kings in the temples of Tamil Nadu, where they have expanded the temples complexes by adding beautiful artistic Kalyana Mandapams in their typical style. In our Tamil country, there are hundreds of such temples that have been dedicated by them in every corner and remote village of this land. The generosity and the love for their art is so immense, but for which we could have not have these wonders among us. With this note and my salutations to the great unknown Stapatis, the unnamed masters, master craftsmen who created this and brought it to reality. To these great men, my pranams. Thank you. Any questions? I'm prepared to take it. I welcome your questions regarding the Venganoor Temple.
Guru, good evening.